You've seen it. A boss who doesn't care still gets promoted. A politician who lies still wins. A public figure with a trail of damage still adored. And the person who plays fair, forgotten, passed over, broken. It's not a glitch. It's not new. It's how the machine was built. People talk about success like it's a reward for being good. Work hard, be kind, do the right thing. That's what they tell you. But watch the world for long enough and that story starts to rot. Because the game doesn't reward goodness. It rewards something else, something colder, sharper, more primitive. The ones who rise are often the ones who don't flinch. They say what they have to say. They take what they need to take. And they don't stop to ask permission. Not every ruthless person wins. But the ones who win often share one thing. They're willing to act while others hesitate. To dominate while others negotiate. They don't wait for fairness. They move through the cracks it leaves behind. Most people don't want to believe that. They'd rather hold on to the idea that virtue pays off in the end. That if you're patient, good things will come. That's the story we're taught because it keeps society stable. But it's just that, a story. And when reality shatters it, people either get angry or they shut down. They say life isn't fair, then keep playing the same game with the same rules. But the real question isn't why bad people win. That's simple once you see the mechanics. The real question is, what do you do about it? Do you throw away your values just to compete? Do you step out of the game entirely? Or is there a third path? Somewhere between cowardice and corruption, there's a narrow, difficult road. One where you stay sharp and stay decent. Where you understand the game, but don't lose yourself in it. Most people never find that road. Fewer still walk it. But that's where this begins. The idea that good people should win isn't ancient. It's relatively modern, built into religions, fairy tales, school books. But for most of human history, survival didn't care about your intentions. It cared about results. Look back far enough and you won't find morality in the early power structures. You'll find strength, cunning, fear. From tribal warlords to Roman emperors, the leaders who rose weren't the ones who waited their turn. They were the ones who moved first, struck hardest, and didn't hesitate when the moment came. They weren't evil in the way we use that word today. They were effective. Philosophers have been wrestling with this dynamic for centuries. Plato believed in a just world ruled by philosopher kings. But his student Aristotle was more grounded. He saw that politics wasn't a battle of ideals. It was a struggle for control. And then came Machiavelli, who stripped away the illusions. In The Prince, he wrote not about how things should be, but how they are. If you want to keep power, he said, it's better to be feared than loved. Harsh? Maybe. Accurate? More often than not. Nietzsche took it further. He saw morality itself as a political invention. Not universal, not objective, but a tool. Slave morality, he called it. The morality of the weak, designed to make the strong feel guilty for their strength. It celebrated humility, sacrifice, submission. Not because those things were noble, but because they protected the powerless from those who had the will to dominate. This isn't just philosophy. It's a lens that reframes the world you live in. That coworker who always plays victim? That leader who wraps greed in virtue? That system that rewards conformity while punishing truth-telling? These aren't bugs. They're features. Nietzsche wasn't encouraging cruelty. He was exposing the game. The Greeks understood this too. They had a word, arete. It meant excellence, but not in the moral sense. It meant living up to your full potential, sharpening your mind, your instincts, your courage. Power wasn't about controlling others. It was about mastering yourself. But over time, power became taboo. It got linked with corruption. So we stopped talking about it. We buried it under layers of etiquette, HR policies, social codes. But it never went away. It just got quieter. And those who understood it, really understood it, kept winning. Not because they were evil, but because they weren't pretending. When people talk about success, they usually mean visible success. Money, fame, influence, recognition. They point to leaders, celebrities, business icons, and they assume those people got there because they were the best at what they did. Smartest, most talented, hardest working. It's a comfortable story, one that makes the world feel fair. If success comes from merit, then all you have to do is try harder, do better. Keep going, that's the surface. But it doesn't explain why some of the most admired people are also the most toxic. It doesn't explain why honest workers get passed over while manipulators get promoted. It doesn't explain why in almost every power structure, corporate, political, social, the same types of people keep rising. Bold, charming, unapologetic. Not always competent, but always confident. This is where most people stop. They notice the contradiction. They call it unfair. Maybe they check out. Or maybe they double down, thinking if they just outwork the system, they'll win eventually. They won't, because the system isn't built to reward fairness. It's built to reward traits that move the system forward, traits that often have nothing to do with character. Take the workplace. Companies say they value teamwork and honesty, but they often reward the loudest voice in the room. The one who knows how to take credit, shift blame, speak in bullet points. In politics, candidates preach unity while running on division. They win not by solving problems, but by knowing how to frame them. Social media? Same pattern. Visibility beats substance. Outrage beats nuance. The algorithm isn't broken. It's doing exactly what it was built to do. Reward engagement, not truth. People see this and assume the worst people always win. But that's not true either. Many ruthless people fail. Many decent people succeed. The pattern is more subtle. It's not just about being good or bad. It's about understanding the structure you're inside and knowing which levers actually move things. At the surface level, success looks like a prize for playing the game right. But in reality, it's a reward for understanding how the game works and being willing to play it on its terms, not yours. Most people assume the world runs on morality, merit, or some blend of the two. But dig deeper and you'll find a different engine. Power. Not in the abstract, not in the dramatic sense, but as a quiet, everyday force, subtle, predictable, and brutally effective. Power moves through systems, hierarchies, relationships. It rewards those who understand how those systems work and punishes those who don't. The structure beneath success isn't built on ethics. It's built on leverage, what you know, who you know, how replaceable you are. It's about perception and control. If you can shape how others see you, you control the narrative. If you control access to something others need, information, resources, approval, you hold power. It's why manipulation works. Not because people are stupid, but because most of them are too busy, too trusting, or too scared to push back. They want to believe in the story being told. And the person who can tell that story well, who can manage image and ambiguity, gains control without force. This is how mediocre people with confidence outrank competent people with hesitation. How charm bypasses scrutiny. How silence can be used as a weapon. The person who speaks last in the room usually gets the final word. Not because they're right, but because they've framed the context everyone else is stuck in. This is also why organizations often elevate those who protect the status quo, not those who challenge it. Because systems protect themselves. They favor predictability over truth. And truth by its nature threatens structure. At scale, this creates patterns, the same types of people rising in different sectors, not because they're chosen, but because they adapt. They understand when to push, when to nod, when to disappear. They're not always the smartest or the most talented, but they read the room and they move first. Understanding this doesn't mean you have to play dirty, but it does mean you need to stop being surprised. Because if you're still expecting fairness to protect you, you're already behind. People don't want to hear that power often rewards the wrong things. It threatens the story they were raised on, that if you work hard and stay good, things will turn out. The discomfort runs deep because it touches something personal. Identity. Most people need to believe the world is fair because it gives their struggle meaning. Take that away, and what's left? So they resist, not with violence or outrage, but with denial. They ignore patterns. They explain away contradictions. They say things like, it'll catch up to them eventually, or karma takes care of it. Sometimes it does, often it doesn't. This resistance isn't just cultural, it's psychological. The brain craves certainty. It wants to believe actions lead to predictable outcomes. It wants justice to be built into the system. When that's not true, most people shut down. They don't adapt, they double down. This is why average people keep playing games they can't win. Believing sincerity will outpace strategy, that being liked is the same as being respected, that following the rules is the same as understanding them. But systems don't reward belief. They reward behavior, and the people who thrive aren't the ones who hope. They're the ones who adjust. There's also a social cost. If you acknowledge how the game really works, people start treating you like a threat, like you've seen something you weren't supposed to. They'll say you're too cynical, that you're giving up, that you're part of the problem. Because the moment you stop pretending, you expose the ones who still are. This is why people cling to fake fairness. It's safer, more comforting, but it's also why they stay stuck. They wait for recognition that's never coming. They expect justice from systems that weren't built to deliver it. And they mistake endurance for power when in reality the two are rarely connected. The cost of waking up is loneliness, at least at first, but the cost of staying asleep is steeper. Wasted time, misplaced trust, a life dictated by people who saw the rules for what they were and stopped pretending. Eventually, the patterns stop feeling shocking. You stop being outraged when liars win or when decent people get steamrolled. You stop wasting energy on how things should be. That's the shift. Quiet, internal, permanent. It's not apathy, it's clarity. You see the difference between being moral and being effective, between meaning well and moving well. You stop assuming that power and goodness are naturally linked. You stop hoping that integrity will carry you like a shield. Because shields don't win battles, strategy does. This shift doesn't make you cold, it makes you accurate. And that accuracy is where real strength begins. You start noticing what others miss, how people signal loyalty without meaning it, how systems reward confidence over truth, how those who talk about fairness the most are often angling for control. You begin to move differently, not louder, just sharper. You listen more. You talk less. You look past the story someone's telling and into the position they're trying to secure. You recognize that most power plays aren't declared. They're disguised as concern, as virtue, as process. The person who understands this gains leverage without aggression. They compete without chaos. It's not about becoming ruthless. It's about becoming fluent. This is the moment when your focus shifts from reaction to structure, from being liked to being useful, from asking for permission to building your own terms. That doesn't mean abandoning ethics. It means separating them from fantasy. You can act with integrity, but not blind obedience. You can be fair, but not naive. This is the kind of clarity that doesn't need to announce itself. It doesn't seek approval. It doesn't argue. It just moves with precision. The shift is quiet, but once it happens, you don't go back. There's something most people sense but never say out loud. That much of what we call morality is just branding. A set of signals meant to show you belong, that you're safe, that you won't challenge the structure too much. It's not about what you do. It's about how you appear. Play nice. Smile often. Use the right words. Don't ask hard questions in public. That's the unspoken rule. It's not your integrity that matters, it's your compliance. People think they're being rewarded for their values. What they're actually being rewarded for is predictability. Being agreeable. Being manageable. Not making waves. If you're moral but you don't fit the script, you're a liability. And the system punishes liabilities. This is why certain people can rise even with a trail of broken promises. As long as they protect the structure that feeds them, their sins are forgiven or ignored. And this is why others who speak inconvenient truths get sidelined. Not because they're wrong, but because they make people uncomfortable. You've seen it. The team player who says nothing and gets promoted, the whistleblower who gets blacklisted, the leader who says all the right things while doing none of them. It's not hypocrisy. It's survival instinct. Truth is only welcomed when it's safe, or when it serves power. Otherwise, it's a threat. The unspoken rule is simple. Don't disrupt the story. You can be flawed, cruel, even corrupt, as long as you don't question the narrative. The second you do, you're not just a person with an opinion. You're a problem that needs to be managed. This doesn't mean you should become a cynic. But it does mean you should stop expecting truth to win on its own. It doesn't. It needs force, strategy, position. Without those, truth is just noise. Understanding power isn't just about theory. It's about survival. It's about moving through systems without being used by them. So what do you do with all this? You start by dropping the assumption that fairness will protect you. It won't. That doesn't mean abandoning your values. It means stop expecting them to be rewarded by default. Separate your ethics from your strategy. You need both, but you need them in the right order. Here's the practical layer. Learn to read power. In every room, someone has leverage. Sometimes it's obvious, sometimes it's hidden. Who controls the narrative? Who gets listened to even when they say little? Who makes others hesitate before speaking? That's power. Track it. Quietly. Constantly. Stop broadcasting weakness. You don't need to explain every choice or apologize for every boundary. Oversharing isn't honesty, it's exposure. Be clear, be direct, then move. Respect is built through consistency, not vulnerability. Master strategic empathy. Most people think empathy means being soft. It doesn't. Real empathy is tactical. It means seeing the moves before they happen, understanding motives without needing them to align with yours. It's not about agreement, it's about awareness. Be useful, not nice. Nice people are everywhere. Useful people are rare. Bring something to the table, skills, insight, clarity. That's what makes you hard to ignore. That's what gives you leverage in rooms that don't care about intentions. Build invisible armor. Emotional control is currency. If you react to every slight, you lose position. If you need constant reassurance, you become dependent. Calm is not passivity. It's protection. Develop it. Use it. Pick your moments. You don't have to fight every battle. You just have to win the ones that matter. Not everything deserves your time. Not every insult needs a response. Conserve energy. Strike with precision. Develop private clarity. Know what you stand for, but don't expect applause. If your values are real, they don't need to be on display. They guide your actions, not your branding. That's what separates integrity from performance. This isn't about becoming cold. It's about staying strong in a world that rewards noise and punishes depth. Power doesn't always scream. Sometimes it just refuses to flinch. Most people never see the real game. They see the surface. Job titles, social praise, curated success stories. And they think that's how it works. Be good. Be seen. Be rewarded. But beneath that surface is a different system. One that values control over kindness. Perception over truth. Leverage over loyalty. You can fight it, deny it, resent it, or you can see it clearly and decide how to move through it without losing yourself. The goal isn't to become ruthless, it's to stop being naive. Once you understand power, not the myth but the mechanics, you stop asking for permission. You stop waiting to be chosen. You stop mistaking approval for safety. And you start building something that doesn't collapse the moment someone else takes credit. Here's the question that stays with you. What would change if you stopped assuming the game was fair? What would you do if you accepted that power isn't given to the most deserving? It's taken by the most prepared, not with cruelty, with clarity.